Well, hello. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. And thanks for joining me on a yet another episode of I Have No Idea What I'm Doing. We're just spending some time together today, doing some sketching and doodling and whatever comes to mind. But today I do want to talk about community stuff. Um, some of you may know me from being a speaker at different events, um, tech events like Kansas City Developers Conference, Code Stock, Music City Code, that conference. There are so many great conferences and events that I've been blessed to be a part of over the years. And today I want to talk about, during this time of social distancing and quarantine and all that, all this stuff related to COVID, that we've not been able to get together like we normally do, especially this time of year, um, where there so many events happen this time of year that have been canceled due to COVID-19, and it's a real shame. Um, I mean, to be honest, I haven't missed the travel that much. Travel is in itself is not glamorous at all. It's not easy. It can be really stressful and can be hard on your family and lots of other things. But I do miss getting together with folks at events. I do miss getting to hear other people's stories. I do miss getting to hear folks giving me feedback about how something that I shared with them has made an impact on them. Um, and I miss getting to meet other awesome people in the community and getting to know them. Um, my favorite um, track, if you want to call it that, at any event, any conference, is what a lot of people call the hallway track. I usually spend the majority of my time um, just out in the hallway or the speaker room or some designated community area, and just getting to know people, sitting down at lunch. Now, I will say I am 100% introvert. Um, Getting out there and meeting new people is um, goes against my nature. It's tough, but I know on the other side of those kind of interactions can be something really really special. I've gotten to meet and get to know people from all over the world over the last 10 years, and that has been so special and such an incredible opportunity. And I encourage people all the time that if you're not getting out to one of these kinds of events and getting to know folks, then you're really missing out on some really amazing opportunities to get connected with other people in your profession and other people who share some of the same interests and like to geek out about stuff. And that's why events are so popular. Not just in technology, but in other professions and other um, areas of interest. Like the comic cons. I've never been to a comic con, but that kind of thing where people dress up and geek out about shows and comics and sci-fi and all those kinds of things. I can relate to that. I think that's really awesome. Um, Thank you for joining the my stream. Thank you for joining the chat. Um, uh, yeah, thanks for digging the starting soon screen. something, of course, that I drew and used Procreate for that, since it has some animation features built into that app. Hello, Jonathan. Good to see you, my friend. I know you, all of you at Kansas City Developer Conference are really, this is a it's sad that that the virus has impacted our community in such a way that we can't get together, but we can get together with things like streaming and Twitter and social media. It's not the same, doggone it, but it's better than nothing, and I really appreciate um, all of you who put so much into the community, and I want to let you know that you are awesome, that you're having an amazing, incredible impact on people that will last their entire lifetime. And I hope there will be a day when we can all get gathered together in person again soon. Scott, great to see you on the chat as well. The hallway track is why I attend conferences. Yep, some of the most amazing, like I was saying, there's so many opportunities, and getting to know people like you at conferences is one of the reasons why I keep doing events year after year, because it's not always easy. It's not always easy to travel. It's not always easy on the family. But getting to know you and others at conferences is why, the reason why I do what I do. Hello, Mr. Strauss. Good morning. Thanks. Thanks for joining on the stream. I kind of wish this was more interactive. Maybe I should have done this as a Zoom, and maybe we'll do a Zoom later this week or something like that. But I wanted to take this opportunity, since I already had this stream scheduled, to talk about community today, and maybe do some drawings around community events and memories of past events. Let's see, what else have we got going on? I'm going to guess that Dog 551 is Kyle, since you're talking about Underground JS. Maybe, I don't know, but whoever you are, DOGG 551, anonymous person. Thanks for confirmation. Hey, Kyle. Glad you could join on the stream today. Yes, a Zoom would be really awesome. And recently, I got on a Zoom with a bunch of my family, and a couple of things that came to mind after that. It was like, one, man, I miss getting together with other people and sharing life and talking about and catching up and all those kind of things. And number two is, why don't we take advantage of this technology more often? Man, FaceTime and Zoom and things like that, just an opportunity to see one another and talk and see each other's faces and share smiles and laughter and everything. It's better than nothing. It's really awesome to see folks and see, you know, even on the screen, it can be really special. So again, what I'm dedicating the stream to today is the power of community and events, and I want to maybe capture some of that in a doodle, or sketch note, whatever you want to call it. And I'm hoping that for all of you who are on the stream with me, that you can share some of your thoughts and some of your experiences, maybe a memory from a past event that you've been to that made an impact on you, or just what comes to mind when you think of community or when you think of getting out and participating in an event. Um, and maybe I can capture some of the essence of some of those things into a drawing that we can then work on together and then share on social media. Yeah, a working video uh, helps. Just working in the presence of other folks. Just I remember when I worked for a startup called Lean Kit for a number of years. We had a kind of an always on camera that it was just a meeting space, a room that we could join at any time, and whatever anybody was doing, we could have a place to hang out and not feel quite so disconnected. Um, those kinds of things kind of like, uh, have their, uh, the popularity kind of grows and shrinks, right? It's like, it sounds like a great idea and you do that and you get a lot of benefit out of that for a while. And then the interest kind of dies off after a while. So I think it's important that you continue to find ways to connect with other people that people can get excited about, and the thing is just to do it, whatever mechanism that you can. Just encourage folks to get on a video and chat or whatever and share some life together. Good morning, Salt and Burnham. Good to see you on the chat as well. Let's see. And Chase, yes, going back about some coffee breaks. Let's see. Yeah, that's doing just a hangout with folks over coffee in the day. That's a great idea too. All right, so Jonathan says, I love watching people's progress in their speaking career, from a local dude talking Node.js at a local event to keynoting major international conferences. I see that repeated over and over again. I love how the community encourages and motivates everyone around them to succeed. Yeah. Um, that story sounds familiar. Man, I have so much to be thankful for and grateful for, the opportunities that I've been given. When I've told this story as part of my public speaking without barfing on your shoes talk, and even some of my keynotes, that when I got started talking at the Nashville.net user group so many years ago, I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew is that when I tried it that first time, I had people who were encouraging me to continue doing it. And even though it was terrifying and very awkward and all those things, I was encouraged to continue going, and I was excited to continue trying. And man, I'm so thankful for people in the community who take the time to give feedback and encouragement to others, so that I wouldn't be where I am today if it hadn't been for so many key folks in my throughout the years who have said some encouraging things and given me great feedback. Let's see. Epsilon says, I've got a great one. I think we met the first time at Revolution Conf. We were both on a speaker panel. Maybe you were moderating. and I got stuck in a stairwell just before the thing was starting. You helped me calm down. Stuck in a stairwell. Huh. I'm trying. Oh, uh, um, I know what you're. Oh my goodness. Um, I'm trying to think. Yes, I know what you're talking about now. I had forgotten about that. But yeah, we were on a panel together at Revolution Conf, and I was not moderating. It was David McAgon, I believe, who was moderating that panel. And yeah, I forgot all about that. Thanks for bringing that up. Um, yeah, I mean, events, even the smallest thing can can make an impact on people. You just never know when something that you say or do uh, could be, you know, could make a really big impression on other people, good or bad. So always, you know, always be kind, courteous, and all that other list of things with folks, because you never know. Um, let's see. So, uh, another person on the stream. Um, let's see. I think our first introduction was November 2016. I've been fortunate enough to run into you many times in person and digitally since then. One of my pivotal memories was a keynote when my daughter and your son were both happened to be tagging along. I think that was All Things Open. Um, well, my youngest son has been with me. Let's see, to Code Mash and that conference and KCDC. Um, can't think of. Let's see. And he's been with me on several trips, but as far as like coming to the actual conference, um, I think that those are the major ones, or those are only ones where he's been like in the conference itself. Um, but yeah, yes, Garth, I'm having a terrible time connecting names with people on the chat. Um, all you people who are getting all fancy with your screen names. It's nice to put a real name with folks. Let's see. Before I spend too much time just chatting and stuff, let's get in and do some drawing. And try to capture some of these ideas and uh, things that we're talking about. So I'll switch over to my other camera, and I wanted to just take a few seconds to talk about how awesome this Father's Day present is. I got this for Father's Day. Arrived in the mail a little bit late, but that's okay. But look at this! Look at this case, man! It's got um, my Reverend Geek, you know, stamped here in the leather. It's just such a cool thing, and my wife is awesome. So, what can we talk about, or what can we doodle? I'm gonna do this in Sketches Pro. Still one of my favorite go-to apps for doing sketches and drawing. And um, let's see. One thing, I guess, just to kind of set the stage for the drawing that I want to do today, and that is, when we talk about community and events and so forth, and how they're special and what it means to us, which, by the way, This is one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. For somebody to ask me, what's your favorite conference or what's the best conference you ever been to? That's like trying to, you know, tell somebody who your favorite child is. They're all amazing. They're all special. They all have, different sets of people who come through, um, who have just an amazing impact on you at different points in your life, in your career, and so forth. So, I, you know, each one of them has their own personality and their own pros and benefits, and people who frequent there, and they're all amazing. Um, okay, there may be one or two that I would say, you know, you you, you don't have to go to one of those. I kid. Let's see. So we're talking about events and conferences and community, and I think the community is what drives us all, right? For people that are who either help out in organizing an event, or people who give back to the community through speaking or volunteering, who people who come back to conferences year after year in attendance. The reason we do these things is because of the power of community. That's the heart of of it all, right? You know, chime in on the chat if you have, some other words or ideas on or what motivates you to be involved in the community. But those are, I think, where I want to start with, creating some kind of doodle around community is the at the center of a community. It is the community. Center of any event is the community itself. Um, so I'm just eyeballing some kind of idea here, and I may come back later on and clean all this up, or even create a whole new drawing, based on, what comes out of this. But just as a starting point, the reason we do what we do is because we love the community. We love having impact on others, getting to know people, um, getting to share life with one another. Um, so, what are some things about community that that you care about, that gets you motivated to go to an event? There's obviously one of the things that motivate people to be involved in an event is to learn. So let's see. We can One way we could talk about learning is the good old light bulb icon. Hallway tracks, absolutely. That's uh, that's my favorite part of any conference. And let's see, how can we maybe some kind of perspective? I may come back and draw something better. Yes, Chris Demars, thank you for joining. So the hallway track, learning. It's the let's see, it's the conversations. Absolutely. Dinners and drinks. Man, there's so much that community is tied to food and fellowship, right? It's sitting down with at a meal with another person, or over coffee or drinks or whatever. That's something that is so magical, that is so special. You just can't underestimate the power of sharing a meal or a drink with someone. So let's see, how can we um, draw something like that? Trying to think. Let's see, a fork, maybe, and a knife. Even like the lunches at an event like Kansas City Developer Conference, tacos. I mean, the power, right, Kyle, the power of tacos. No one, you should never underestimate the power of tacos. But sitting down at dinner or lunch with a bunch of um, other folks at an event, that's where you can meet people for the first time, and you know it. Who knows if you end up with a lifelong friendship sitting at one of those tables. I know Jeremy Clark. Um, he gives a talk called the social developer, and one of the examples that he gives is you know intentionally sit at a table where there's people you don't know, so that it may be out of your comfort zone, but sitting down with someone and talking about you know what do you do, what do you geek out about, what kind of technologies do you work with. you know the hard part is starting the conversation. Once the conversation starts, then people can geek out about stuff, and it's hard to stop. It's just being brave enough to start. um, yeah, the Pac-Man rule that Scott mentioned in the chat. That's like you've got. Let's even draw that. The Pac-Man rule. The Pac-Man rule is you got a circle of people in the hallway who are talking. You always leave space for one other person, so that if someone joins your circle, who's just they could be just a listener, a casual person, just walking by and hears something that piques their interest. They join the circle, and now you need to make the circle bigger, and leave an open space for someone else to join. Kyle says, I miss the swag, running out of shirts. Dude, I have like 6 bags of shirts that I've need to donate to Goodwill. So if you need a shirt, I've got one for you. Um, May not be your size, but I am I've got shirts running out of my ears. But yes, I do miss the swag. I miss some of the creative things that conferences do to, to make an event very personal, or something to take away from that event that's meaningful. I've got swag all in my office. I've got swag on the on my bookshelves. It's everywhere, and there's some things that have been, just so useful and so special that I've had them for years. Um, so let's see. Swag can be things like uh, a coffee mug, the all important coffee mug. Let's see what else. Pac-Man rule. Um, 2 boxes of underground JS leftover shirts. Well, if you have my size, I wouldn't mind another one of those. Chris says, I just miss the cool non-clothing things: chargers, cables, sanitizers. Yeah, chargers and cables. All that. Um, you want to get some underground JS face mask made? Well, yeah. If we're still doing these things coming next year, if we're able to start gathering together, I mean, I imagine, um, people are going to continue to wear masks and be encouraged to wear masks. So yeah, why not have um, branded, conference swag, like a mask. So for all of you who are on this stream or watching this stream later who are part of conference organization, similar to how Star Trek sends out a box of swag ahead of the conference, so that everyone has their T-shirt ready to go and can wear their T-shirt on the day of the event. Send out a box of swag with a mask ahead of the event, so that everyone has their mask that they can take with them to their event. That's, I think that would be an awesome idea. All right. So it seems like there was something else I missed from um, around the food. Yeah, there's definitely some events are well known for their bacon or their barbecue. I don't know if that's a good way to represent barbecue ribs or not, but that's the goal. That's what I'm trying for, is a rack of ribs. Maybe I can do something a little bit better with that later on. Whoa. Networking. Yeah. That's absolutely part of that hallway track, and having conversations and getting to know people is making connections with other people in the community that, man, those can be so valuable. Like, I can literally point to, um, I would say the last 12 years of my career have been directly impacted by involvement in the community. I would not have had the jobs, or have met the connections for people that, for things that I ended up getting a job for or whatever, if it hadn't have been for involvement in the community. Or in the case of like 12 years ago, or more than 12 years ago, I joined a company because of their, not because I was active in the community at that time, but because of their presence in the developer community, about the things that they were doing to help other developers, and to, part of that was some free merchandise, or um, free software, a free software tier of their product that they were giving away for people who were in the community, for open source, all those kinds of things. Um, so, Chris, I guess you're referring to the last. Oh yeah, you can definitely remember for the, last year's Kansas City Developer Conference, uh, AC being broken everywhere. I was in a hotel where the AC was not working, and it was pretty miserable. I mean, no reflection. It shouldn't have any reflections on the conference itself. But my goodness, how could you not forget about being kind of miserable at night without any um, uh, air conditioning? Um, so networking. Let's see. Since we're all nerds and geeks here, we can maybe use a network cable. Trying to think of like the RJ45 or something like that. Maybe I'll just leave it at one. All right. So what else is, kind of things that you might remember or enjoy about going to conference? So one thing we can definitely talk about is speakers. One of the reasons, for as far as like learning goes, this is brutal stick figure area right here. Experiencing the culture and sites in the area with friends from the event. Oh my goodness, Scott, you. So that is exactly right. So the events that stand out in my memory over the years have been the ones where they have organized um, sightseeing or tours or cultural or networking type events for attendees and speakers. For example, um, the NDC conferences, they always do, um, for almost every conference they have a boat trip, where you have dinner on the water on a boat, and those are really special um, events where there's been like an organized hike, and you go hiking in the woods somewhere close to the event, or you experience some kind of culture as far as like a bunch of people going out to dinner together at a restaurant that serves food that you wouldn't find anywhere else in the world, that's kind of unique to that area. Those kinds of things that kind of, again, as an introvert, they're uh, they can be awkward, or there's some hesitation as to doing that kind of thing. It kind of pulls you out of your comfort zone. But I always come away from something like that so glad that I uh, did it. Um, some of the most special memories have been these organized events that where I got to see a tour of the city or something like that with a group of people, um, and that's really special. So yeah, Scott or Chris talking about Hattie B's, that has, because of that, because of those special times that I've had at events around the world. That's the reason why if I'm a part of Music City Tech, anyone who hasn't had that experience of going to Hattie B's or having a drive around downtown Nashville or any of those kind of things, I'm personally going to try to get as many people as I can to experience their first Nashville hot chicken and other things to to get to know folks and to experience some of that. So yeah, that culture and let's see, um, sightseeing. So let's imagine this is a bunch of buildings or something. I don't know. Um, Tours, food, all that kind of stuff. I cannot outdrink Jeff. I wouldn't try that. Don't recommend it. Um, yeah, DevReach is one of those kind of special uh, events that I've had the pleasure of being a part of, and they really treat their speakers really well. Let's see, barbecue. Yeah, Kyle, we had some amazing barbecue in Alabama. That was absolutely right. The boat rides. Yep. Rainbows over the trees of Mississippi in the Mississippi River in Minnesota. Yeah, that I took a couple of photos. You may remember from that trip that are still probably some of the best photos I have ever taken in my life so far. They just the water, the reflections on the water, the light on the trees. There's something really magical about that moment. Um, let's see what else. Sweet. Glad I was able to introduce you to your first hot chicken, Chris. Um, I love being able to hear those kinds of stories. Surprise fire drills, those are great. One of the best things for me, and I miss greatly, are the hugs. I just want to hug my friends. Man, that is true. Um, uh, Growing up, I was not part of a hugging family, so it's yet another skill that I've had to learn over the years. But man, I sure do appreciate it now. I am naturally not a hugger, but I sure do appreciate you folks who are. Uh, Today is National Hug Day. Well, why not? Hey, Kevin. Yes, bring it in, friends. Let's all have our virtual hug right now. we, we do need to hug it out. So let's see. Here's my attempt at drawing some hugs. Hopefully that works. All right. What else can we remember about events and community? Let's see. How about, are there any specific memories that any of you want to share about an event? Like, I'll go first. I remember, and it's easier because I'm speaking and I'm not having to type this out, right? I remember going to Code Stock in Knoxville, Tennessee, years and years ago, and this was before the Code Stock was in the convention center. This was when they were still meeting in like this business space inside the uh, University of Tennessee campus. And there was a young man who was speaking there that I was just really impressed with the talk that he gave. And I wish I could remember the talk, but I don't. So I don't remember the specific talk. But that's kind of the thing about community, right? It's like you don't even that favorite quote that I like to share is that people won't remember what you said, they won't remember what you did, but they'll remember how they made you feel. That was a Maya Angelou quote, something like that. Um, anyway, there was this guy that I really enjoyed him speaking, and liked his personality, and we ended up sitting together in the closing keynote. And the closing keynote was Julie Lerman, and again, I don't remember. This was so many years ago. I don't remember what Julie was talking about either. But I remember sitting with this guy and getting to know him a little bit. And throughout that year, we ended up running into each other several more times. But I remember him sharing that he had just started speaking. He was pretty new to speaking as I was, and we kind of bonded there, and became friends. That man was and is uh, the Corey House, as people joke about. I mean, Corey is such uh, a great guy, so nice, and he got into speaking as a way of overcoming his fear. It's like he faced his fear of speaking, so he just dove head into being a speaker, and embraced it. Um, so embrace the things that you fear, kind of thing. So yeah, that's my Corey House story, and we've every time we run into each other at an event somewhere, we have a lot of catching up to do, and it's always special to get to see him. But man, what a from just going from zero to 100% community kind of story, right? That had such fear of speaking to someone who is now known throughout the dev world for his involvement in the things that he's done around um, Pluralsight courses and so many other things. I mean, he's definitely someone to admire for all the things that he's done in the community. So what's a you know a memory that you have of someone that you met, or something that you learned um, from an event in the past? While I take a sip of my hot beverage. Thank you, Scott. I do love making stickers, and I will, even during this time of social distancing, I've tried to figure out ways that I can get stickers to folks. There's swag, but I want to I'll just call out stickers by themselves. Let's see. Chris says, my friend Leslie and I came up with one of the stickers David now makes. You only want me for my JavaScript. That is absolutely right. I love that idea. And that's one of my stickers. There are some memories we're not allowed to discuss in public. Well, Kevin, thank you for bringing that up. That's I appreciate your discretion. That there are there are just like Las Vegas. You know, there are some things that stay there when you leave there. Chris says, I was at Detroit Code in 2017, and I was one of the only locals there, so I didn't know many people. Then David Pine walked up to me at dinner and told me to come sit with them. We had matching shoes, beards, tattoos, and hats, and now we're pretty much twins in the community. The rest is history. That's cool. You can probably hear that I'm getting my grass mowed. You know, perfect timing. I start streaming, and the guy who mows my grass, fires up his mower. Just right on time. Any other cool memories you guys want to share? I encourage you, even after this stream is over, which we'll wrap up in here in about 5 or 6 minutes. That if you think of anything else, or have one of those stories and you don't have time to type it out here, that you do go ahead and type up some special memory and you share that on Twitter or Facebook or wherever it is that you share things. And if you can, tag that person that that memory is connected to. One of the things I encourage people to do is that if someone has made an impact on you at some point in your life, let them know about it. Give them, give them that blessing of saying, hey, you may not remember this, but I remember when you did fill in the blank. And that made an impression on me and, gave me an opportunity where I, went on to do this or that or open up a door for me to, as part of my career or, help me with something that I'm passionate about. Let them know about it. Sean says, well, most of mine are when I go to meet someone, they say, you are who? Yeah, still working on getting known. Well, I am bad. I am terrible with names and faces. And I mean, I recognize people a lot of times. I recognize a face, but I am so bad with remembering people's names and so forth. And I'm having to, overcome that awkwardness by just saying, can you tell me your name again? Um, Gosh, it's hard, right? So another thing about community, badges. We all need badges. Some of us collect badges. Have a big badge collection hanging from on the wall or somewhere in their house. But we need name badges because that helps. I used to keep all my badges. Um, and some of them I had hung up, and some of them I had in a box. Um, and I've held on to some of the ones that were more special. But I can't say that I have every single badge I've ever of every event I've been to. I'm with you, Kevin. I keep the nice ones. I also keep the nice swag. I get so much swag. I've got a jacket hanging here of the so many jackets that I've gotten over time. But this one is pretty nice. It's from DDD Perth. The jacket is nice. It feels great. And man, what a special trip. We were talking earlier about what makes some trips so special are the the activities that we end up doing while we're there. And for me, Perth was so special because there were a couple of people in that community who treated me like royalty. They took me all over town, to nice restaurants, to out to Rottnest Island to get pictures made with the quokkas, and um, they were just so generous and gracious, and did so much for me while I was on that trip. And that's what one of the things that makes a trip like that so special. My first trip to NDC Oslo, I didn't know anybody except for maybe Brian Hunter, who was also from Nashville. But I ended up connecting with some folks there, and we went on a tour of Oslo. We went to a bunch of museums and things together, and man, I still, you know, occasionally connect with those people years later, over Twitter or whatever. It makes a really special connection. Chris says I keep other people's badges too. I have one from Ted from Dev Nexus 2019, and he didn't want it back, so I plan on getting it signed. I guess are you referring to Ted Neward? That's funny. Um, well, good to see you, Scott. Go have some nice lunch. I'm about to go have some lunch myself. Well, that about does it for another Drawing with Reverend Geek. Thank you, everyone, for joining me and going down a bit of memory lane and sharing with uh, sharing with me some stories and working on this silly drawing together. I might clean it up some or do something with it, and I'll post it later today on Twitter, along with a recording of this session. And yeah, I do hope we get to get together in person again soon. Until then, let's be intentional and reach out to folks. Let them know what kind of impact they've made on you, and offer to, you know, hop on a Zoom or Google Hangout or virtual coffee or something, just to connect with people and you know, be be human together, share life. Until next time, as always, you don't need permission to be awesome. You get out there and do some awesome stuff today, and I'll see you next time later on.